Welcome to the Sober Circle channel.
Now about sex. And we're going to look at the sex inventory, which actually isn't about sex. Which I thought was going to be very exciting because we're all legends in our own mind, aren't we? Anyway. The first thing I want to talk about is some of the directions in the book, starting on page 68 and continuing on page 69. And the first thing that the author, Bill Wilson, is trying to do is let us know, like, look, we're going to go into these waters, and this is what we know. Everybody's got an opinion, and they're all different. One of the things that's very important for me to do, particularly as a sponsor, as I go through the work with a sponsee, is I don't superimpose my morals on top of anyone else. Because I have my own set of morals, I am comfortable with them, I have my own set of conduct, I am comfortable with it. It doesn't mean that my morals or my conduct is right for everybody. So I have to be very careful, and that is what Bill starts off talking. Many of us need an overhauling there, but above all, we try to be sensible on this question. It's so easy to get way off track. Here we find human opinions running to extremes, absurd extremes perhaps. And then it goes on to talk about people that cry for sex and more sex, people that think the root of all trouble is that it's sex, people that would have you have no flavor for your fare, others that want us on a straight pepper diet. More importantly, on page 69, about 10 lines down, it says, we want to stay out of this controversy. We do not want to be the arbiter of anyone's sex conduct. We all have sex problems. We'd hardly be human if we didn't, but what can we do about them? And now we're going to get into directions for what we're going to do. We're going to review our conduct over the past year. So I'm going to write down what I was told to do and what I do with my guys. I just write down everybody I've been in a relationship with, right? I'm just going to write that down. And I'm going to ask some really simple questions of myself. Where have I been selfish, dishonest, or inconsiderate? Who have I hurt? Now, the thing about that is a lot of people think when it says, whom have we hurt, that we're talking about the person we're in a relationship with. That's not true. There were a lot of people that were hurt by my behaviors over the years. There's infidelity, there's unfaithfulness, there's messing around in places I shouldn't have been messing around, knowing that was going to hurt somebody, not caring what it made the other guy feel like. I'm going to get what I want when I want it. All of these things. So there is ripples. There's a rock dropped into these waters, and it sends these negative ripples out. And a lot of people get caught in that. So when it talks about who am I hurt, I have to expand the view to just who I'm in that relationship with. It's a lot of times it's many other people that are involved. I continue to ask myself questions. Did I unjustly arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? What is that about? Jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? Well, what I found out when I did my inventory is I knew very little about love in the true sense of the word. I was an expert at bartering. I was wonderful at doing what I thought you wanted me to do so I could get what I wanted to get. And if you didn't give me what I wanted, then I would stop giving you what you wanted. So I know nothing of love. I know nothing of caring for somebody for free and for fun. I know nothing about a true partnership. What I do is I have a set of needs that I want to have met. And I want you to meet these needs. But because I'm dishonest, I don't know how to go to you and go, these are my needs. Would you care to meet them? That would please me. Thank you very much. What I do is I go on a psychic mission where I try to figure out what would make you happy and give me what I want. And when I don't get what I want from you, I am disturbed by that. Anybody that's ever been asked, would you help me move by a pretty girl knows why we help the pretty girl move. Just being honest. And as you're loading that couch up with that other dummy who showed up to help her move, and you're looking at the competition, you're thinking, oh, I'm better looking than him. And when they say, well, I don't know how to thank you, I couldn't have done this without you, this is what you think. Well, I know how you could thank me. Even when I'm kind, even when I'm generous, underneath all that is a selfish, self-centered personality. And I do that in my relationships, don't I? I tell you, I love you, baby. You're so good to me. I'm so happy to be with you. Now do what I want you to do so we can get along. And if you don't do what I want you to do, we don't get along. Will I arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? Of course, I'll throw that in the water. That's the chum I throw in the water. I'll keep you off balance. I don't want you to think you got my whole heart. I'll go out. I won't come home when I'm supposed to come home. You'll say, where were you? out. With who, people? What were you doing, stuff? Why won't you answer my questions? I'll tell you what, are you writing a book? Why don't you leave this out and call it a mystery? How about that? I will arouse jealousy. I will arouse suspicion. I will ask you in the kindest ways, and this goes back to the third step when we're reading about the actor. I can be kind, considerate, generous. On the other hand, I can be mean and demanding and egotistical. Why do babies cry? Because it works, right? Cute little baby, little 2-year-old sitting in his playpen, hanging onto the rail, just being cute, and Dad walks by. Dad's got stuff in his mind. Dad's on his way to the kitchen to go do something. Baby sees Dad. There's Dad. I love Dad. He lights up. Gets even cuter as he watches Dad walk by. That's weird. Dad walked by. Why didn't he stop? Didn't he know I was here? Didn't he know I'm the apple of his eye? I mean, well, come on, Dad. And then Dad leaves the kitchen, going back into the study, and, oh, it's okay. Here's another shot. Now the baby's extra cute. Dad walks right by, doesn't even look at him. Son of a gun. Dad didn't even see me. Third time Dad comes by, baby screams, wah! Dad stops. Walks over. Picks up the baby, cuddles the baby. This is what the baby thinks. Well, that worked. Baby changed techniques to get what the baby wanted. I find myself as an adult, man, I'm a 2-year-old in grown-up relationships, changing my techniques to get what I want. I'll be cute, I'll be kind, I'll be generous, I'll be self-sacrificing. I'll be all these wonderful things. But if that doesn't work, I could be mean, egotistical, and demanding. I will just change techniques, and underneath that, here's a guy that wants what I want when I want it. And if I don't get it, I will make you pay the price. I'll make you wish you gave it to me. That's who you're in a relationship with. We put each relationship to the test. Was it selfish or not? Good Lord, I wish there was one I could tell you that wasn't selfish. It's a trick question for guys like me. When I got all that down on paper and looked at it, it became very apparent to me I didn't know anything about love. I knew about negotiation. I have expectations of every kind thing I do in a relationship. I am a scorekeeper. How do I know that? God, I wish I could tell you because of what's happened to me in Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm not a scorekeeper. Good Lord, God forbid my wife comes at me with something she's discontent about. There's a screen that pops up right in the left side of my head. It's every good thing I've done in the last 21 years. It's just there, taunting me. I can't believe she's saying this to me after all I've done for her. I mean, I'm a scorekeeper today. I don't want to be. I may not act on it. I may know that about myself, but to say that I'm no longer like that would be a lie. But I know how selfish I am. But once again, what are we talking about? Self-knowledge. I can't do anything about it. I'm a negotiator. I'm a barter. I want what I want when I want. I don't mind giving you what you want as long as I get what I want. God forbid I did more than you. God forbid it wasn't 50-50. You know what I found out about relationships? They're not 50-50. I don't know what they are. Some days they're 90-10, and some days I'm the 90, and some days I'm the 10. It all works out in the end, but I had to have a different attitude about it. But the needed power isn't there. I can't do anything about it. I do this inventory, I look down, and all it says is, Don's a scumbag. He's been in 7 major relationships. He's 0-7. You know? That's not a good winning percentage. So what do I do about that? Whatever my new idea comes out to be, because I'm trying to form a sane idea for my future sex life, my future relationships. And once I have this sane idea, I must be willing to grow through it. But I ask God, on page 69, we ask God to help mold our ideas and help us live up to them. We remembered that our sex powers were God-given, therefore good, neither to be used lightly or selfishly, nor to be despised and loathed. And then whatever this idea turns out to be, and that's a personal idea, that's not my sponsor's idea or AA's idea or my church's idea or even my wife's idea. This is my idea. I have to be willing to grow through it, and I have to have God mold that idea. In other words, we treat sex as we would any other problem. In meditation, we ask God what we should do about each specific matter. The right answer will come if we want it. God alone can judge our sex situation. Counsel with other persons is desirable, but we must let God be the final judge. We realize that some people are as fanatical about sex as others are loose. We avoid hysterical thinking or advice. Why is that? I'm a shopper. How about you? When you got something going on in your life, do you shop for answers? I do. Nothing I hate worse than being locked in about something going on in my marriage. So and now I've been married a long time, and I know a lot of married guys. I know where to go. I know to stay away from those guys that just agree with everything their wife says, and their wives are always right. He's going to be no help at all to me. He's going to give me some spiritual answer. I want the guy that's going to go, yeah, you're right. I'd be pissed too. That's my guy. Water seeks its own level. I'm looking for company in my misery. Counsel with others is not desirable. The only person I talk to about this stuff is God and my sponsor, who knows how selfish I am. That is where I'm going with this stuff, because I'll tell you what I will do instinctively is I will find like-minded people. And if my mind happens to be sick and selfish at that moment, I'm looking for sick and selfish to go talk to about my problems. And I'm always surprised when people agree with me. That's by design. That's not by accident. I know where to go to hear what I want to hear. And I know over the years I have found myself in that selfish situation where I find myself and somebody is giving me good orderly direction, and I will pull away from their advice because it doesn't line up with what I think. So I'm not really looking for advice, am I? I'm looking for confirmation. I'm looking for agreement. I'm looking for you to tell me I'm right, that I should feel that way. And once again, I'm separating myself from the truth. But the thing about this divine spark, this idea of God that lives inside each of us, I've never gone to God in any situation, in my marriage particularly, and asked honestly what would God have me do and not got an answer. Now, it has not always been the answer I've wanted. I will admit that. But I've always got the answer, and I've always recognized it as correct. Whether or not I wanted to take that direction from God is really between me and God. Suppose I fall short of this new idea and stumble. Does this mean I'm going to get drunk? Some people tell us so, but this is only a half-truth. It depends on us and our motives. If we are sorry for what we have done and have an honest desire to let God take us to better things, we believe we will be forgiven. We would have learned our lesson. If we are not sorry and our conduct continues to harm others, we are quite sure to drink. We are not theorizing. These are facts out of our experience. So I don't have to be perfect. I have a new idea about my future sex life. Does that mean if I'm selfish, I'm going to get drunk? Does that mean that if I'm thinking about me and not the other person, does that mean if I'm arousing jealousy or suspicion in my marriage that I'm automatically going to get drunk? No. What it says is if I continue to do it and I don't feel bad about it and I'm not willing to grow towards a new idea, I most certainly will get drunk, because that kind of behavior cuts me off from God. And if my very existence is a spiritual awakening and a conscious contact with a power greater than myself, if my very life depends on that conscious contact, anything that tampers with that contact or cuts me off from it can be listed as fatal. So anything that tampers with the relationship with God can ultimately be fatal. And all these things that we're talking about, our resentments, our fears, our behavior in our sex life, these manifestations of self, the way that they're infinitely grave is that they sever our connection with God. They in themselves might look like bad behavior. The fatality of them isn't the bad behavior. It's not what I'm doing that's going to kill me. It's that when I'm doing that, I am cut off from God. I'm cut off from the power. I'm cut off from the answer. I'm cut off from the solution, and I'm living in self-will. I am once again bringing a knife to a gunfight because I am taking on my alcoholism with self-will, and that'll never work. I am alone when I'm in those states. And if you don't believe me, next time you get a really good resentment going, I'm not talking about where you're intellectually processing. I'm talking about when you're in fury, when you're practicing spiritual restraint, where I'm just going to shut up and keep my hands in my pockets so angry, where you're reverberating, try to pray. Good luck. Can't do it. I'm cut off. I want to talk about the fifth step really quickly. In fact, I'm going to do this really quickly, then I'm going to turn it over to Sheldon, who's going to talk a little bit, I think, about the fear inventory again, and then about the fifth step. The most important thing in the fifth step, and I'm not going to get into the two things I want to talk about that are most important to me. One, when I hear a fifth step, I always do it on a weekend. I block out the whole day. In the fifth step directions, it says we're prepared for a long talk. What I don't want, and this is just for me and my sponsorship family, we don't want anybody to come over, start a fifth step, and go, it's getting late, I got to work tomorrow, let's pick this up tomorrow. I really take it as an honor and privilege to hear a fifth step. I can't imagine how I would have felt if I sat down with my sponsor and halfway through that, the most important moment of my life, my important moment of my recovery up to that point, he had said, okay, we got to take a break, this is getting a little long-winded, we'll pick it up tomorrow. So I try to always set up enough time that no matter how long it goes, we'll have enough time to get it done. The other thing is I think there's a really important direction in the fifth step, which is on page 72. And I think that this is something, there's things in the book that we compartmentalize, right? We'll take something in the book and we'll go, oh, they're talking about the fifth step here. And we think it only applies to the fifth step. I think this is one of the most important spiritual directions in the book. It applies to my whole recovery. And on page 72, towards the middle of the second paragraph, it says, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. I've done a solitary self-appraisal when I'm done with my fourth step. In the fifth step, it's telling me that we find this insufficient. I think that's a huge spiritual principle, not just about the inventory process. I think it's about transparency. I think it's about honesty. I think it's about living out loud. I think it's about standing up behind the hedge of life and letting people see me. I think it's about stopping this business of presenting to the world my stage character, where I want to enjoy a certain reputation, but in my heart, I know I don't deserve it. That's the old behavior. If you want to know what my old behavior is, that's it. I show you what I think I want you to see so I can get what I want. Solitary self-appraisal is insufficient. So I have to ask myself at 26 years of sobriety, how much of my life am I running alone? How much of it am I doing in the dark with just my thoughts? How much of it am I really doing it with a sponsor? How much do people really know about me? How transparent am I really willing to live? Am I living in that solitary self-appraisal where I live my life and I'm the judge, jury, and executioner of all my business? My sponsor doesn't need to know about that. Other people in AA don't need to know about it. I can just handle that on my own. Have I fallen victim to the folly of self-sufficiency again based on my length of sobriety? Do I think that I don't need to do the basic things in Alcoholics Anonymous in terms of transparency and disclosing how I'm really living, thinking, and acting? Do I think I don't need to do that any longer? Has my ego stepped in, and is it building a wall between me and you, between me and God, between me and my sponsor, because I think I should be better than that now? Do I think a solitary self-appraisal is sufficient? Not just where inventory is concerned, but where everything is concerned. The last thing I want to say about the fifth step, and this is for anyone that hasn't done one yet or has just finished one, I was very excited about doing my fifth step, and this is why. People in Alcoholics Anonymous would show up in the AA meeting after they did their fifth step, and they'd raise their hand, oh, call on me. The chairperson would ignore them as long as they could, and they'd finally call on them. And they'd say, I just wanted to let everybody know I did my fifth step last night. And everybody, yay! And they'd all applaud, and they'd go, I know. Oh, you guys told me it'd be wonderful, but I had no idea. I just feel like the weight of the world has fallen off my shoulders. You know, I knew I was an AA member, but now I feel like I've really joined the tribe. I feel part of the universe. I feel I'm walking hand in hand with God down the broad highway. And I'm listening to this, right? I can't sleep at night. I'm racked with shame, guilt, and remorse. I hate myself. I'm suicidal and homicidal on that pendulum in 15-minute periods, you know what I mean? And I'm listening to all this wonderful stuff that's going to happen in the fifth step, and I want me some of that. So I do my fifth step, and I know it's going to be great. I'm waiting for the gift. And a day goes by, and I don't feel any better. 2 days go by, I feel worse. 3 days go by, and I want to kill myself. And I made an appointment with my sponsor, and I met with him. I said, fifth step? And he goes, yeah. I go, I think we did it wrong. And he said, what makes you think we did it wrong? I said, buddy, let me tell you something. I've never felt so filthy and dirty and disgusting in my life. And he thought about it, and he goes, well, Don, I was there for your fifth step. And you should feel filthy and dirty and disgusting. And this is what I know about the fifth step today. Very important that we get it done. But here's one of the dangers of the fifth step. Feels important, doesn't it? Wow, I did my inventory. Wow, look at me, I did my inventory. But we're in the process of steps 4 through 9 of turning our will and life over to the care of God. We can't stop there, but it feels important, and a lot of people stall out after their fifth step. A lot of people. But what do we really have when we're done with our fifth step? Page 39 in the big book says, for the real alcoholic, he will absolutely be unable to stop drinking on the basis of self-knowledge. And what you have when you're done with your fifth step is nitroglycerin. You have the purest form of self-knowledge you've ever experienced. No justification, no rationalization, no explaining away. You know yourself on a deeper level than you've ever known yourself, and it feels powerful. But we haven't done anything with it. My sponsor said that I'll probably get relief in steps 8 and 9 like most of us do. Sheldon?
Thanks for listening. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing.